Now it's time for children's time. So everybody get a little closer there. Children of all ages, really get close to that screen you're watching. Hey, so listen, you heard the gospel text. The gospel text is another time when a crowd of people came and were surrounding Jesus. They had been actually in the synagogue. They were listening to Jesus' teachings. Now, before I go on and on about the story, I do want to ask you a question. Do you remember one thing that Jesus taught us to do? One thing that Jesus encouraged us to do? What's one thing that Jesus Christ asked us to do? Love God, exactly. Love your neighbor. Take care of each other. Forgive each other. Also to help the needy, right? To those persons, and don't ignore those persons who have needs, whether those are physical or housing or food. I mean, we're to be caretakers for each other, right? Jesus also said, we're not supposed to judge each other. Well, those are some of the things. You're right. Those are some of the things that Jesus asked us to do. And not all of them are easy, are they? Well, now let's go back to our gospel text. Jesus had been teaching, and some people, the people who heard his lessons, his teachings, well, they started to leave. The people who had been following Jesus, because he was asking them to do some difficult things. And they kind of started leaving. And Jesus saw that some of the people in the crowd were going home. And then he saw his disciples, maybe even some of them had left. And he went up to a group of the disciples that were still standing there. And he said to them, "Are you going to leave me too? Are you going?" Peter said, "Rabbi, teacher, where would we go? Where would we go to learn about God? Where would we go to hear these lessons that you are teaching us?" And I'm sure some of them said, Rabbi, teacher, Jesus, some of these are pretty tough. And they are. It's sometimes tough to forgive people who've hurt us. It's sometimes tough to take care of everyone who's in need, of the needs that we see around us. It's even tough to forgive people who've hurt us, who've said some terrible things about us. But Jesus said, I know it's hard, but this is the way of life. This is what God wants us to do. So here's what I'd like you to do this week. If you're being asked to do something that's difficult, to forgive someone, to help someone, just remember that conversation Jesus had with his disciples. Where should we go, Lord? Where will we go, teacher? You have the words of life. So if you come to a situation and it's tough, stop, take a breath, say a prayer to God to give you strength, and then follow through. We can do it together. All right, thanks a lot. I'll see you next week.